What's up, everybody? On today's video, we're going to talk about how to rebuild Fort Myers Beach stronger. Now, I'm not an engineer, but I love to travel and see different places. And on this video, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on how I would go about rebuilding, fixing Fort Myers Beach. So this is Fort Myers Beach. As you can see, there's no palm trees along the sand. It's just sand. Buildings come right up to here. There's no plants at all along the coast. There's no boardwalk, and then you have a bunch of old buildings all along the main street, which is Stereo Boulevard. There's no malecón. There's no boardwalk. It's basically, there's no trees as well. Okay, so you can see there's no vegetation at all. So I'm going to show you guys a few other beaches before we talk about how I would go about fixing Fort Myers Beach. We're going to look at a few other beaches that are better. First of all, we're going to hop on over to Fort Lauderdale on the other coast. Now, Fort Lauderdale has Las Olas, which is a much better beach for several reasons. As you can see, they're very similar in size and dimension to Fort Myers Beach, with a few particular differences. One of the most striking things you'll notice is that they actually have vegetation not only along the beach, but also before you get to the buildings. Let's hop on down here and see what it looks like. When you look at Fort Lauderdale Beach, they actually have coconut trees, and they have this little boardwalk. Now, this little boardwalk really helps with storm surge because it doesn't look like much, but it actually does quite a bit when there's a storm surge. If you pay attention, it's only a few feet high from this side, but if you look here, there's a step. So this is actually like 4 to 6 foot walls, and in some places with these little caps, it'll be over 8 foot tall, and it looks beautiful. Now, I've actually talked about this before the hurricane on our channel, on how Fort Myers Beach isn't really a good beach for one reason, specifically that it doesn't have a boardwalk, and that you can't drive along the beach. Now, in Fort Lauderdale, you can actually drive along the beach, and you have coconut trees. You have this boardwalk, which it's only about 2 feet on this side, but again, when you look at the openings, you'll notice that it's actually 6 to 8 feet on the other side. And those 6 to 8 feet are good enough to at least slow down any storm surge wall that hits this area. And with the coconut trees as well on both sides would prevent anything like a boat or anything that was loose out here. And the storm surge, remember, it comes in and then it pulls back out, and it can cause harm in both directions. But in the case of Fort Lauderdale, the coconut trees are like a barrier for the wind and for anything floating. And you can see they have it on both sides. They have it on this side, and they have it on the other side. Now, they say they're going to rebuild Fort Myers Beach the right way. I don't know what their engineering plans are. I don't know what they're planning. But as you can see here, on the empty lots, they just filled them with coconut trees. And this is like a maze that would prevent, let's say, if a boat were to be loose out here, to come crashing through here, would eventually be stopped by the palm trees before causing any structural damage. But when you look at Fort Myers Beach, they don't have this wall. They don't have the palm trees, and this is a layer of protection. And actually, the road itself serves to streamline the water. So when you look at Fort Lauderdale Beach, they have the boardwalk with the wall. They have the coconut trees. They have the road, and then they have more coconut trees. And all that is layers and layers of protection, so that if there is a storm surge, it's not able to just haul buildings away like it did in Fort Myers Beach. So these are all things that can be implemented. And if you pay attention, they have stuff like this right here, which may just serve for people to sit on. But if you think about it, anything that, in the case of a storm surge, you can see that between the palm trees and these objects that are here, all this protects these buildings in the background. And you may not notice it at first glance. You might wonder, why are all these things here? But in the case of a storm surge, like the one they had in Fort Myers Beach, if it had happened in Fort Lauderdale, the same exact event, these buildings would have not got washed away simply because there's so many layers of protection. Look how many things are here. And, all these things here, these big round tubes and all these things, they might look decorative, and even these things here, they might all look decorative, but they actually serve a very good protection in the case of a storm surge. So if a storm surge were to hit Fort Lauderdale Beach, it would actually be very well protected because you have all these layers of trees and architectural designs and things that are going to prevent these buildings from getting washed away like they did in Fort Myers Beach. So there's a lesson that can be learned from this scenario right here in having all these layers. But when you look at Fort Myers Beach again, there's no trees, there's no road, there's no boardwalk. I mean, all these buildings are simply exposed to the beach. So what would make sense to make Fort Myers Beach a better place would be to extend a road all the way along. And I don't know why they've never done this in Fort Myers Beach. The problem is that the people that own these properties here, they think they own the ocean. They really don't. And they've prevented a lot of stuff from happening because they think they own the ocean, but they don't. It's been an ongoing issue in Southwest Florida. So if Fort Myers Beach were to have a road that went all the way along the coast with palm trees on both sides and a boardwalk on this side of it, which means you would have an extra layer of protection. And a lot of other beaches in Florida have this, but as you can see clearly, it's exposed, thoroughly exposed. There's definitely enough space to do it. You can see here that there's a lot of sand in Fort Myers Beach to run a road through here, run some palm trees, run a boardwalk. And that in itself would do two or three things. One, it would actually make it a pleasant drive, and it would relieve pressure off of Estero Boulevard, which is a complete and utter traffic jam throughout the entire. You can take an hour and 45 minutes to do an otherwise 25-minute drive during the season. And what they would have to do here is they would have to do a roundabout similar to what they've done in Fort Lauderdale and in Miami to get off the bridge. So clearly they would have to run a road all the way around the island, and it's not a new concept. If you look at Key West has a road that goes all the way around. If you look at Key West, you can see that they have a highway that goes all the way around with mangroves on this side in some places, and that road, again, serves as a protection. So we're not talking about an alien concept. This exists in Key West, it exists in Fort Lauderdale, and it exists in many other places like St. Augustine Beach. I'll show you guys that in a minute. But when you look at Key West, they have also done something similar, and this is in the backwater as well. And I think Fort Lauderdale Beach, Fort Myers Beach needs to do this on the backwater as well. You can see here that Key West is more exposed. It's way more exposed, but you can see they've done the same thing. They have a road, they have a boardwalk, and they have coconut trees, and this is on the back road. And exactly the same thing that Key West has done here by bringing a road around the backwater. You can see it here all the way around. They did it in Key West, and they dredged along the edge of it, okay? And that's going to help with storm surge. That they have got some loose mangroves throughout it, but you can see they ran a road all the way around the backwater. Well, Fort Myers Beach has to do the same exact thing. They actually have to start right over here on the southern tip of the island. I guess they would have to do a roundabout here, and the road would have to go underneath the bridge and come up this way. And all this here would have to be, it'd have to go all the way around here, just like they have in Key West. And this would provide a huge protection to these properties because keep in mind the storm surge comes in and it comes out. And if you look at the shape of this area, it's got all this curvature and all these curves. When you put concrete road, it's just like the one they have in Key West. When you put a road all through here, this curvature that this area has actually helps into reducing the impact of a storm surge coming in or out. They would have to run it all the way through. Even around these natural preserves, they'd have to run it right through here. and they would have to make it come all the way back out to here, and again, it would loop around this big bridge, come around here, and it would be another loop here. So what they have to do in Fort Myers Beach is they have to run a road all the way around the whole island. They literally have to create like a moat all the way around the island. That's going to help alleviate traffic, and it's going to be a protection, just like they have in Key West. But you look at Key West is completely exposed, but it's protected. It's very well protected by this road. They have it in the backwater, they have it in the front as well. And it helps protect Key West, and it helps protect Fort Lauderdale to have this. So you can see here, you have a wall, you have some palm trees. If a storm surge were to come right at Key West, look, you even have giant boulders here. And in fact, if you pay attention, I mean, imagine if Fort Myers Beach had this. How would Fort Myers Beach look like today if they had this? They have coconut trees, they have boulders, they have a fence on the other side, and then they have coconut trees, they have a wall, and you can draw in a road as well. This road helps water flow through here. If Fort Myers Beach had what Key West has, if Fort Myers Beach had what Fort Lauderdale Beach has, we wouldn't have it wouldn't be gone. It would all be there, because when a storm surge hits Key West, look at all the layers it's got to go through. It's got to go through a wall, a sidewalk, coconut trees, and rocks. By the time it gets to the buildings, it would have lost 30-40% of its impact power. And a lot of beaches in Florida have this. For some reason, Fort Myers Beach doesn't have this infrastructure. But this infrastructure here, the coconut trees, the rocks, the roads, and the boardwalks, not only allow for people to enjoy the beach, it reduces traffic, it allows for people to enjoy the beach. I don't know why it doesn't exist to begin with, and it's the case in all Florida beaches. If you take a look at Panama City Beach, Panama City Beach has high-rises along the coast. It's kind of different from Fort Myers Beach in that the vast majority of these are high-rises, and these high-rises are pretty much another layer of protection. But if you look at Fort Myers Beach and you compare it to, let's say, Panama City Beach, this is a real beach. I wish our coast looked like this. I mean, you have a boardwalk, you have a wall, you have trees, all that before you get to the buildings. And this allows for people. Could this all be sand? The problem is that the people on Fort Myers Beach, they're greedy. They want all that sand. They think that they own that. And the problem with the people in Fort Myers Beach is that they're greedy. They think they own that sand, and they want to have it all to themselves. They don't even want people to walk on it. But when you build these types of, another thing at Fort Myers Beach and all of Southwest Florida is that they've been fighting back against this right here. Big buildings. These big buildings don't get washed away in hurricanes. These big buildings all survive hurricanes. Here's what they're building right now in Fort Myers Beach is something similar to this, where the building's on this side and the parking garage is on the other side. But if you look at Fort Myers Beach, it's nothing compared to this. This is a strip. People actually, the vibes and there's a few places, like if you hop on over, let me show you guys over here in Miramar Beach. When you look at Miramar Beach over there in the Florida Panhandle, you'll see it again. You have a road. Look how nice this is. You can park right. It creates parking spaces. It creates walking paths. It creates beautiful palm trees. Look how nice this beach is. This is one of my favorite beaches in Florida. Of course, the waters in the Florida Panhandle are beautiful compared to the garbage that we have in Southwest Florida, so you can't compare that. Obviously, the Florida Panhandle has better beaches. But you can see you have a wall, okay? You have a boardwalk, you have trees, you have a road, and then you have more palm trees, and then you have buildings. And these are all the best beaches in Florida are laid out like this. And you can still throw a business on the other side every once in a while, but you know that that's a business that when there's a hurricane, you're going to lose it all. But for the most part, this is how the best beaches in Florida are all laid out. Unfortunately, in Fort Myers Beach, you don't have any of that. And I can make even more examples. If we look at a place like St. Augustine, when you look at St. Augustine, this is the Castillo de San Marcos. This has been standing here since the 1500s. If you look at it, they have a wall, they have some palm trees, and they have some rocks. You can see the rocks right here. This has been standing here since the 1500s, people. How many hurricanes do you think have come through at Castillo de San Marcos and St. Augustine over the years? This has been here since the Look, these rocks that you're looking at here have been here since like the 1500s. All this has been here since the 1500s. What is the method they have? A boardwalk, some palm trees, and a wall, a retention wall. This has been here since the 1500s. So we have in Florida an understanding of how we need to build these beaches and what we need to have in place so that when a hurricane comes, you don't have a complete destruction. If you look at Treasure Island, they have a lot of sand. If a storm surge were coming through here, but if you look carefully, they also have a public boardwalk. You can see they have a boardwalk here. They have trees on the outside. And every single good beach in Florida has these things. The only beach in Florida that doesn't have these things is Fort Myers Beach. And the reason they don't have these things is because the people that have these properties, they think they own they think they own out to the ocean. These people here, they get mad if people walk by. If you were to walk on the beach, they get mad if you walk there because they think they own it all. But in reality, their own greed has basically sealed the nails on their own coffin. But like I said, I really think that in order for Fort Myers Beach to be a safe and productive place that more people can enjoy, because right now you can go here, but there's nowhere to park. There's like 1 or 2 parking spots here. That's it for a whole entire beach. So you can't really get on any of these beaches because they think they own it all. All these beaches here, none of them all these are private beaches all through here. Because these people think they own it all, all this. I think there's a Junkanoo Beach right there, but that's a restaurant. So you got to come all the way over here to get some public beaches, and look how crowded they are, because they're the only public beaches. There's no access. Even this beach here, there's a park here, but there's no access to it anywhere. It's just one little parking area. So what they need to do here is what I said. They need to build a wall that goes just like in Key West around the back and around the front. They need to put a road that goes all the way around, a road that has palm trees on both sides, and a road that has a boardwalk and parking, scattered sporadically throughout it, so that the people, when they come to Fort Myers Beach on Estero Island, they can park anywhere along the beach. They can walk or skateboard along the beach, or bicycle ride along the beach. They need to do that, just like Key West did it, and then you can actually have beach on the other side of it. It's not like you're getting rid of the beach. Just because there's a road along the beach doesn't mean you're getting rid of the beach. You're actually making it better. Look at Fort Lauderdale again. They have a road along the beach, and it just makes it all better. But if they were going to rebuild Fort Myers Beach the right way, this would be the way to do it. The way they've done it in Fort Lauderdale, the way they've done it in Key West, the way they've done it in a lot of other places. I doubt they're going to do that because, again, like you look at the island of Sanibel, the rich people have hogged these beaches all themselves. They've made it all private property. There's no public access to anything. But again, if you were just to run a road all the way around the island and do what they've done in Key West, do what they've done in Fort Lauderdale, then Fort Myers Beach, and they're going to have to bring another bridge across here somewhere. I don't know where. It would make sense for them from here, perhaps through here, to run another bridge from here into Estero somewhere. Let's say this road here, Coconut Road, would be perfect because they could run it up to 75. There's no, I think Estero Imperial, and they could definitely run an off ramp so you can go from 75 straight to Estero Boulevard. I mean, look how close this is. If you're going onto Estero Boulevard, look how easy it would be to make a cut right through here. Either Corkscrew, they could run it through Corkscrew, they could run it through Coconut. Coconut would be perfect. Run it out to Estero Boulevard, Otherwise, you got to go all the way through Bonita. Look how far you get, and the 75 comes further east. To get on Estero Island, you got to go all the way on 75, all through Bonita Beach Road, come back up, and then the other way out is through here. Imagine if there was a way, and a lot of people were lost. A lot of people tried to escape Fort Myers Beach, and they couldn't escape. That's why and you'll see eventually when they start talking about what happened in the specific cases, because they're not talking about it right now on the news or whatever. Eventually, they're going to talk about the specific things that happened, and you'll find out that what I'm telling you makes sense. People had nowhere to escape. But if, let's say, Coconut Road ran out to Estero, which is, you need one big bridge for one of these passes, let's say here somewhere. If you just ran a Coconut Road all the way to Estero, during the storm surge, people were trying to escape the island. They haven't talked about this yet, but people, it's not on the news or whatever, but people were trying to escape the island. They couldn't, and there's no, imagine, you either got to go this way or that way. There's no way out. But this is really the perfect point for them to run a highway from Estero to Coconut to 75, and then all these people here can be able to live all through Southwest Florida, be able to enjoy it. People that live on this island can have an escape route. There's no escape route. And they ran around the whole island like they did in Key West. And you know what? This is an environmentally sensitive area. You think Key West isn't an environmentally sensitive area? Look at Key West, dude. Key West is in the middle of the freaking ocean. You have the Key West National Wildlife Refuge. You have the Marquesas, and you have dry tortugas. These are real. Okay, I don't know if you guys even know this existed. This is dry tortugas. This is a real ecologically sensitive area around Key West. And by the way, look at this. Again, this has been here for, I don't know how old this is. It's like an old fort, like several hundreds of years old. This is in the middle of the ocean, and it still stands. Why? Because they have a moat. They've created a moat. It stands the test of time, people. Look at this. Are you seeing this? This is Fort Jefferson. This is in the middle of the ocean. And you know how many hurricanes have gone through there over the years and it's still standing? But good old Fort Myers Beach, none of these buildings are more than 40 years old and they're all gone. Listen up, Fort Myers Beach. That's what I think should be done. I think the most important thing is to create a moat around the island with palm trees and boardwalks and parking places, running Coconut Road to Estero Boulevard. These things will make Fort Myers Beach a better place, and it'll create a moat around the island so that next time a storm surge comes through, it doesn't just sweep everything off into the mangroves. All these stupid people that say, we don't want to become Miami. We don't want to become Miami. Miami is one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Pay attention here. You have a road. It's a one-way. You have your coconut trees. You have your wall. You have your mangroves and trees. And then you have the ocean on the other side. Miami Beach could have dealt with that storm surge. And look how much vegetation they have here. Miami Beach could have dealt with that situation much better than Fort Myers Beach did. Look at how beautiful this is. Imagine if Fort Myers Beach looked like this, guys. Imagine for 1 second. When they rebuilt Fort Myers Beach, imagine if it looked like this. Coconut trees. Look at this, guys. Coconut trees, people walking, a nice little road, a nice, beautiful wall to sit on. Imagine. There's even look, the cops patrolling ATVs. Look how beautiful this is. Because these stupid people here in Southwest Florida say, oh, these old farts, we don't want to look like Miami. Look how beautiful Miami is. Look how beautiful Miami is. Imagine if we rebuilt Fort Myers Beach to look like this, with coconut trees, with beautiful, look, they use limestone rocks, natural limestone rocks it doesn't look nasty, it's beautiful, it's natural limestone rock. Imagine if we rebuilt like this. This is Sunny Isles in just north of Miami. This is, I think this is a Trump hotel. Look how beautiful this is. Look how beautiful these hotels are. This is what they don't want Fort Myers Beach to look like. Look how beautiful these buildings are. These are the types of buildings we should have in Southwest Florida. Investors have wanted to put in these buildings, but these old farts down here, they don't want these beautiful, modern-looking buildings in Southwest Florida. You know what they want in Southwest Florida? Let's go look at what they had in Fort Myers Beach. Let's go look at what they had here. Let's take a look at what they had in Fort Myers Beach. Let's take a look here. This is the heart of Fort Myers Beach. What do they have here? This is what they had in Fort Myers Beach. It has charm. It's pretty, but these are like sheds and mobile. Look at this bunch of sheds and mobile homes, and I mean, let's be honest. Dang, look at this, guys. This looks like sheds. Look at these things. They're boxes. They're sheds. The Margaritaville beach resort's coming in. And a lot of these old farts have been complaining about that. Hey, the Margaritaville, it's not even done yet, and it made it. Okay? These are just a bunch of old raggedy buildings, to be honest. And unfortunately, I actually already said this on my videos in the past. I've been saying they need to just knock down Fort Myers Beach and start all over again. I didn't imagine this would ever happen, but I've said it on my channel before. If you watch my channel, you've heard me say it. But it's just a bunch of old raggedy buildings, bro, full of cockroaches and bed bugs. These things are old and raggedy. They need to do this right here, like the Margaritaville. They need more of this. This survived. This is all this is here. The Margaritaville, every last bit of it is still here. It's not gone. But what's gone is a bunch of old raggedy buildings that are full of cockroaches, and they're old and nasty. And that's what these old people want. They want these old, nasty, raggedy buildings that are like, look at these things. It looks like a freaking duplex in Hialeah, bro. Even the duplexes in Hialeah nowadays look better than this. But that's what these old people want. They want these old, raggedy buildings. And these old, raggedy buildings are dangerous. They hurt people. You understand? In Fort Myers Beach, you're driving through here, you don't see the beach. You see a bunch of old, raggedy buildings. When you drive around Fort Myers Beach, you don't even get to see the beach at all. Imagine if instead of this road being on this side, if that road was on the other side. And when you're driving through, you could see the beach. Okay, you're driving through Fort Myers Beach, you can see the beach. You can see some palm trees. Look, there's no trees or nothing. It's just a bunch of old raggedy buildings. You can't see the beach or not. Look how wide and ugly that sand is. Imagine if they put some palm trees through here, some coconut trees, a nice road, some nice boardwalks for people to walk on, some natural limestone structures. Look how nasty this crap looks. It's just a barren wasteland full of old fat people that don't want nice new buildings. It was about time for Fort Myers Beach to kind of get a fresh start, and I hope they do it the right way. And again, I'm not an engineer, but I travel Florida, and I can tell you that, changes, maybe this will be for the best. But they have to stop listening to these old farts that live here, and they need to start looking at other beaches that are successful so they can build something that's better, because really Fort Myers Beach is an embarrassment compared to Panama City Beach. I mean, look at this crap. Compare that garbage to this. This is the Florida Panhandle. Look how many people, look how many trees. You can actually see the water. You can actually see the water when you're driving through the Florida Panhandle. There's hundreds of miles up there, and the road goes all along the beach in a lot of places. Not in every single place, but gosh, there's enough places where you can see the beach along the Florida Panhandle, and it's absolutely beautiful. You're driving on the road, and you can literally see the beach. But in Fort Myers Beach, they've built these ugly old boxes that are 80 years old. Let me show you guys what they've done in Navarre Beach. Pensacola Beach is gorgeous. Look at Pensacola Beach. See the road just drives. You have a road, and the road goes right through the sand. You can drive through all that. Look, that's cool right there. Pensacola Beach. You can drive your car. It's just a road through the sand in Pensacola Beach, and there's forts here as well. There's Fort Pickens right here. It's a beautiful fort. If you've never visited, I definitely recommend you visit Fort Pickens. These forts are old, man. They've been there for hundreds of years. And again, they're still there because they were well built. You got Fort Pickens there. Navarre Beach is another great example of a beach, man. They don't really have a lot of trees in Navarre Beach. It's kind of ugly, but they do have a real fishing pier. Compare their fishing pier in Navarre Beach. Look how tall that is, man. Look at the difference between. Look at the Navarre Beach fishing pier. Look at that. You got a real fishing pier Nice tall fishing pier. Chicks from Alabama. I mean, this place is just so much better. All through here, all through these beaches of the Florida Panhandle, you can drive right along and see the water. It's beautiful. You can drive for hundreds of miles along the Florida Panhandle, and you're seeing the beach from hundreds of miles. Look at Destin, Florida, guys. Let me show you guys how beautiful Destin, Florida is. These are real Florida beaches, not the piece of crap we have here in Fort Myers. You can see how they built like resorts along the beach, all up against the water. They use the sand to create kind of like a wall, and they put rocks around it. Like, they could do this in Fort Myers Beach. They have rocks all through here, and they have sand, and it's like a wall that protects everything on this side. So if there's a storm surge here, it protects everything. This is over there, and then they have they have clear water. They have real beautiful clear water running all through there. But that's Destin. Crab Island over here, where boats come to hang out and stuff. Let me see if I can show you guys Crab Island. These are real Florida beaches. Look at Crab Island. Look how many people come hang out with their boats there in Crab Island. They have a pirate ship out there. But these are beaches these are Florida beaches. And again, in Destin, once you get out to Miramar Beach, you can literally drive all along the coast and see the water. You can see they have, if a storm surge came through here, they have plants, they have walls, they have a road. All that helps protect the buildings on the other side. Look how beautiful. These are Florida beaches. Miramar, Destin, these are Florida beaches. You can't compare Fort Myers Beach to those beaches up there. I mean, look at this. Look at these old condos. They're old. They look old and raggedy. Compare how raggedy and old this looks on radar compared to those beaches up there. Look how badly all these streets are dead end. They haven't thought about maybe, if they had a back road where some of these roads weren't dead end. The mail car. This is a nightmare for the mail car. It doesn't fit through there. The garbage truck. Let me show you guys. These are all dead ends. All these are finger streets, dead ends. Look, can you imagine the garbage truck has to turn around back here where? The mail car has to turn around back here where and how? Can't do any of it, guys. All Fort Myers Beach are all dead end streets. If they did like in Key West and they ran another street through here, and maybe, if every fifth or sixth one had a connection, then, would make access in and around the island much better. But all these streets are dead end. It's one of the most... it's no wonder they had a natural disaster. It's one of the absolutely worst designed places anywhere. And the same thing goes for St. Carlos Island. Like, all this is gone. And if they had just ran a road, like you can see here, they ran a little bit of a road here, but the buildings are on the outside of the road. And again, it's because these people, they want to own the water to their own detriment. But if they had a road here, imagine if all these boats over here, actually all these boats here landed on top of these restaurants over here. If they had just had a road run through here, like they do in Key West. Let me show you guys back in Key West. If they just had a road like in Key West, those boats would have been on the other side of it. They couldn't have came through and hurt anything like they do in Key West. The marinas are on the other side of that wall. If there were boats on the other side of this wall here, would they have landed on land into the buildings? Absolutely not. You got palm trees, you got a wall, you got a road, you got more palm trees on this side. That's how you make a city. That's how you make a coastal beach community. But if they want to take pointers from Key West and Fort Lauderdale and make a good beach in Fort Myers Beach, I'll move back. But in the meantime, I want to point out that there's another pending disaster in Southwest Florida, and that's Bradenton Beach. Now, you do have a road here in Bradenton Beach, but there's not enough vegetation. It's just another disaster waiting to happen.